Hello, all benders and non-benders, and today is a sad day for Avatar Generations because the beginning of the end has been announced. I'm going to put for you on screen the latest message from the game team. Attention, all benders and non-benders. After much consideration, we have made the difficult decision to end development of Avatar Generations. The game will be shutting down on December 2nd, 2023. The game will no longer be available for download nor playable after that time. This marks the end of an incredible adventure, and we are filled with gratitude for the community that has grown and thrived since the game's inception. Here's what you need to know as we approach the final date. In-app purchases will be disabled as of today. All in-game currency should be used by December 2nd, as Avatar Generations will neither be downloadable nor playable after that date. As a thank you for your support, we will be sending out additional rewards through in-game mail. Be sure to check your mailboxes for these special gifts. The conclusion of Avatar Generations is an opportunity to celebrate the wonderful moments we've shared in this rich and vibrant world. Let's make the most of the remaining time. Thank you for being part of an integral part of this adventure. So yeah, that's that. Game dead. We had a little bit of hope there for a second with the release of Long Fang and the potential of the Dai Li faction. I mean, I can also talk about data mine stuff now because the game is not going to be around much longer anyway. There was data mine stuff for more Kyoshi stuff. There was actually an official Father Glowworm concept that was pretty cool. It was hard to tell if that was going to be a boss or support. I think it was going to end up being a support, but hard to say one way or the other. And of course, they had some original stuff coming for Kyoshi. We're not going to see that, unfortunately, because as of December 2nd, the game is no longer going to exist. I am disappointed. I am not surprised, if I'm being real here. I'm going to start, first of all, by saying that this has been an absolutely wonderful journey. I have loved playing this game, but I do have a story to tell. A story about how I started playing this game. It was, the beginning of February. I think it was even the release date, which I believe was January 31st, if I'm not mistaken, or February 1st. I forget. By sheer chance, I wasn't looking out for this game. By sheer chance, I stumbled upon a news article talking about the Avatar mobile game that had come out, the Avatar Last Airbender mobile game that had just come out. On a total whim, I was like, you know what? Hey, why not? So on my lunch break, I downloaded the game. I played about 15 minutes of it, and then I uninstalled. Now that might surprise you to hear. That might surprise you quite a bit. But there's a few reasons I did, and I fear that those reasons are why the game is failing as of today. One, it did strike me as a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes / Raid Shadow Legends clone. I mean, I know those turn-based games are a dime a dozen, and it's hard to say which chicken and which egg came first. But it was very clearly based off of a familiar format that really didn't offer anything new. And also, I hate to be this way because, when I criticize things like animations, I'm always like, well, I'd like to see me do better because I can't. But the animations left a little bit to be desired, especially compared to the absolutely beautiful and gorgeous animation of the original Avatar: The Last Airbender cartoon. I think when I first played it, I even described it as looking really good for a PS2 game, which I think was the sentiment of a fair number of people. But obviously, I picked it back up because, well, for one thing, I'm a mobile game addict. What can you do? Boy's got to get his fix somehow. And I'm a big Avatar fan, so why not? I picked it back up, and this time I stuck around with it. I re-rolled until I got Avatar State Aang, which was just a wonderful way to start. And then I stuck with it. not long after, got a bit of a creative itch. I had done YouTube casually in my high school years, pre-college, pre-adulting, all that good stuff. Just casual stuff like Minecraft and Pokemon, nothing revolutionary, but it was fun. And I kind of missed it, I was having a creative itch, nothing crazy was going on at the time. We did not know that this year would become the year of, I was having a baby very soon. At the time, baby had not been conceived yet. So, life was pretty slow at the time. And I thought that it might be fun to try to emulate some YouTubers that I've seen who do guides on these mobile games. Some very good examples being Arnold for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Sevi Plays for Genshin Impact, and Vulcan for games like AFK Arena, just to name a few. So, with a lot of nerves, because I hadn't spoken in front of a camera in a hot minute, I recorded my very first video, a guide on how to upgrade characters. And it did surprisingly well, getting over 100 views in the first day, which was mind-blowing for me. And the rest is history. This channel has grown beautifully into a wonderful 1,300 plus subscriber community that I absolutely adore. But alas, it was not meant to last because the game is going offline. Now, I hope you're hungry because I'm about to serve you a massive slice of opinion pie. This is my opinions. These are not critiques, nor am I speaking as an expert in the industry. I'm more so just saying what I feel like went right and what went wrong with the game. And I say it out of a place of love because, if I didn't like the game, I wouldn't care. But I do want to talk about what I think went wrong first. And there are a few things. Namely with the timing. I think the timing was way off. It's no secret that mobile games are a staple of the gaming world. I mean, for better or worse, a lot of people would say worse on that one, mobile games are here to stay. But they really went nutty probably post 2016. I mean, even before then in the Candy Crush era, sure, but probably these types of games like gacha games really started taking off, I think, post 2016, and then they really missed the 2020 boat. Now, why do I say that? Two things. One, the pandemic. We all know about the pandemic. Mobile game spending went crazy. Video game spending went crazy in 2020 and beyond because guess what? Everybody was at home. Parents wanted to buy games for their kids so that they'd stay busy and not drive them crazy. And also, parents and other adults like myself just got bored. Half of them weren't working, a lot of them were working from home. So what do you do when you're bored? You download a free mobile game. You download your Candy Crushes or your Angry Birds or your Pokemon Goes and stuff like that. Your Genshin Impacts, whatever. You download your free-to-play mobile games. And you know what? You're not spending money on going out. You're not spending money on gas. You might as well spend money on gems. So mobile game spending went crazy. At the same time, I think that's about when Avatar The Last Airbender really got a powerful second wind, if I'm not mistaken, because they put it on Netflix. I forget when they put it on Netflix, but it was in 2020, just after moving to my current house, that I actually saw Avatar The Last Airbender for a first time. I know, you'd think I was a lifelong fan that I've been covering this game so passionately. No, actually, I was a new adopter of the Avatar The Last Airbender craze. I was very much a new adopter in 2020, binging that bad boy on Netflix and quickly fell in love with it. If this game had released then, I think we'd be having a very different conversation. Because I think if it had released then, I think it would have at least stood a chance. But alas, it did not. It did not release officially until 2023, where game spending has plateaued and the mobile game market, the big fish are bigger than ever and the small fish are dead. So that was a bold choice. The next issue that I think happened here is bugs. We can't ignore the fact that the game has admittedly been a bit of a buggy mess since the beginning. You remember the Statue of Kyoshi meta? Yeah, that bad boy probably turned a lot of people off on day one. Do you remember the bugs where knockdowns would go away when a character took their turn instead of at the right time when the person who's actually knocked down took their turn? Yeah, that one was pain too. And of course, let's not forget the more recent one of Ron and Zuko just having nearly unlimited immunity. I could go on about the bugs that have admittedly dragged the game down pretty good. I don't know if the developers bit off more than they could chew or what. I've heard it said before that the public can do more game testing in an hour than a development team could even hope to do in a year. And that is extremely true. I mean, you put a game in front of, thousands of people, that'll get the job done. But some of those bugs were a little wacky. I mean, woof. So that definitely turns people off to it. I'm pretty forgiving. I can roll with the punches, but it was a little quirky. Also, in a very similar vein, the game balance was weird. Character balance was all over the place. Admittedly, every character was either worthless or the brand new meta. Ronin Zuko was crazy, and the Warden is usable to this day. The Warden, he appeared in one episode, the back half of an episode. That man should have been a 4-star, maybe average 5-star at most. But alas, the game balance was really weird. Arena was a slog that they just couldn't quite get the formula right on, and I think that definitely did not help. And finally, and this is going to be a weird one. This is going to be a weird critique because it's super counterintuitive. But I personally think, and this is a big me personally thing, but I personally think the game was actually a little bit too friendly. I think it was a little too free to play friendly because they did, and that's a weird critique to give because we all want our games to be pretty free to play friendly. But I think you could play this game pretty safely going free to play and even hitting some pretty high level stuff. I spent money. I did. I spent about $700 from the beginning to the end. And I had some pretty nice little help from the developers in order to better showcase things in my content. So, I lived a pretty privileged life. But this game, I feel like you could do pretty easily free to play and certainly on a budget. And they even added stuff like the shops that would coincide with the summoning banners that would allow you to just pick what you want. A bit of pseudo pity selection, if you will. Great features, really fantastic features. Maybe even a little too great. I don't know, because, mobile games live by the revenue they generate. And clearly the game wasn't making enough money. Now, we also don't want mobile games to be too money hungry. That's where you get horrible situations like Galaxy of Heroes that really turned me off to it because it was impossible to play free to play. It's a weird balancing act, and unfortunately, while some of us would say that it tipped the right way, it still tipped too far, I think, where, if there's no reason to spend money in the game, people ain't going to get paid. So that's like I said, that's a chunky bite of opinion pie right there. So take that how you will. I'm, like I said, not an expert, and that's a bit of a hot take on my part. I do recognize, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it was making plenty of money and it was just some management issues. I don't know. But enough of the negativity. I do want to talk about the stuff I liked about the game. Rise of Kyoshi was a biggie. I'm just gonna go ahead. That was like the pinnacle of the game. I think a lot of us can agree. Rise of Kyoshi was a biggie. The fact that they had freshly designed characters, some of them for the first time, I think. They had the story from the books. I bought the books because of those. Read the Rise of Kyoshi books. I have the Ancient books. I haven't read them yet. I've been busy. But I read the books, and they're fantastic. The characters are fantastic. And I would not have read those books if it wasn't for the Rise of Kyoshi little missions in the game. That was a fantastic idea. It's a shame that it didn't get fleshed out enough. Maybe if they had prioritized that, where they prioritized putting out other Avatar stories, maybe the game would have held people's interest more, because that was admittedly pretty good. Being able to have these fresh characters, these stories that some people hadn't read the books for, or maybe people had read the books for, were now getting to visualize. That was the right direction, and unfortunately, they kind of forgot about it as soon as it happened. We had the Kyoshi stuff, had the Fifth Nation pirates, and then I believe it finished off with Kelsong and Janzu, and they didn't have anything else. They did have Father Glowworm, which they were going to probably add later on, but alas, they didn't run with it as much and as hard as they should have. But with what it was, that was a highlight. And finally, a major prop I'm going to give this is that I think the development team really did care. You know, they communicated with people. The developers on Discord were fantastic. They would get on things and actually communicate with the players. They would do things like they added the event shop where you could get characters with coins you get at Pity. They seem to actually care about making the game fun. In fact, maybe they cared a little too much. But they really seemed passionate about making the game fun. Unfortunately, they might have forgot to make the game profitable, but they made it fun, and that counts for a lot. It was a really good time. So, where does that leave us? Well, I've talked about it before, but the channel's going to have a real hard time standing without the pinnacle game. The day may come where I do another game. And I don't know what that's going to be. I did a Genshin Impact video, not really feeling Genshin Impact content. I like the more traditional mobile game, I think. Who knows? Maybe a calling card will fall into my lap and I'll find another game that I really enjoy. But until then, we're going to take a bit of a break. Is it an indefinite break? Will I come back with another game? I hope so. Maybe something will really grab me. But, as I said in previous videos, my life is about to take a pretty major change, and having a little extra time and mental energy on my hands is not the worst thing in the world, actually. So, yeah. That said, we're going to do at least one more video. A nice little summoning bonanza. As I said, we gotta spend all the loot anyway. Might as well go crazy with it and just run it dry, you know? Just go full hog and burn every ticket, burn every nature stone, and call it a night. I think that sounds pretty fun. A good strong way to finish this chapter of my life and finish off this game. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you all so much for watching my channel. Whether you subscribed or not, it means the actual world to me. I never even thought I could get over 100 subscribers, much less over 1,000. This has been pretty cool. But we're about at the end of the road for this game, so let's walk it together. So yeah, with that being said, we shall see you next time. Oh yeah, right. Mamushi's not going to be playable. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Ah!